Good evening, race fans, and welcome here to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course for tonight's 4th annual Happy Hollow Children's Camp Indy GP. That is indeed a mouthful. My name is Robert Hill Jr. Joining me tonight is Johnny Thomas. Johnny, how you doing tonight?
Hey, Robert, I'm doing pretty good. Excited to see what these lead open wheel guys can do.
Absolutely. Should be a fun night here around the road course. As you see on the Warriors for Peace pre-race notes, 85 laps tonight. These drivers must run both tire compounds. And the pit strategy, as per my insider, is 3 pit stops this evening. So it'll be very interesting to follow along and see the strategy throughout the evening as we pull up our starting grid here. Joshua Chin on the pole alongside Archie Coveney. Row number 2, we see Adriano Pinero alongside Kevin Burrell, with Eric Troiano rounding out the top 5. Ethan Stanley, winner yesterday night in the Cup Series at Sonoma, starts in 6th. Justin Fortner, Chad Simpson, row number 4, with Chad Frankenfield and Ryan Schuld there rounding out the top 10. 11th, we find Jesper Orman alongside Butch Davis, with William White, Brant Johnson, and Zachary Flom in the top 15. Gavin Hibbs, Hunter Smith, Colin Kolpka, Mark Murphy, and Jacob Wiest, the top 20. Pace car is now just pulling off the grid. These guys are going to do a formation lap here before coming around to the green flag. Jiao Ritter, AJ Hobson, row number 11, with Chris Samard and Jared Rexing in row number 12. Chris Webb, Tim Robb, the top 25 and 26 starters. Craig Forsyth, Jeremy Millerin, Seb Alexander, and Chris Walker, the top 30. Rounding out the field, Sebastian Saavedra, Mark Rabilis, Matt Quick, Victor Del Porto, Michael Hosick, Bill Colley, and Robert Smith. That is your 37 car grid this evening. As we do see our timing and scoring up on the screen here, you will see a bit of information here tonight. As we mentioned last week, we're going to do radio style for this series. So your laps, of course, is the laps that these drivers have completed on the racetrack. The gap is the distance between the driver and the race leader. Interval there, the third column you see, is the distance between the car that we are currently on and the driver ahead. Last, of course, the last lap, the best lap. PC is, I do believe, how many laps that they've been on the racetrack. PL was the last lap that they pit, and PT, I do believe, is the pit time. On the right side of the screen, you'll see some events throughout the race, from passes to crashes and everything in between. But down on the racetrack, Johnny, is this will be the first road course of the season. What do you think we can expect out of these guys tonight?
Yeah, I'm just super pumped to see what we can do, and probably one of the craziest turns in motorsports is turn 1 here. And it seems like it gets a lot of flack and a lot of opinions in the racing world, real life and in sim racing. So going into turn 1 is about the only thing I want to get to right now, and then after that, we'll see. Like I mentioned last week, I'm pretty new to open wheel racing, and especially road course. It's very foreign to me, so it's going to be a lot of learning and a lot of watching. But it should go by pretty quick, and should be pretty exciting.
Yeah, most definitely. And like you mentioned, turn number 1, very hectic. We actually ran here in our truck series Sunday night. It's a very sharp right-hander from a fast-paced straight line down the front straightaway, which can lead to quite a bit of incidents here. The pace car is off. I do believe we do one more formation lap in this series. I may be wrong. We'll watch Josh Chin and Archie Coveney here and just see what they do. Josh Chin is on the loud pedal. We are underway here in the Happy Hollows race here at the Indy GP. Down to turn number 1, it is Josh Chin ahead of Adriano Pinero. Chin going to take that first right-hander down in turn number 1. Pinero and Coveney side by side. Troy, looks like we had a bit of an incident there.
Nose.
Ryan Schuld gets caught up with, I do believe that to be Chris Walker. Walker still sideways on the racetrack. Multiple cars involved in that. Ryan Schull down 12 positions already. So not the start that the Little Eagle Racing number 4 machine was looking for here tonight. But long race to go here. Jesper Orman also lost quite a few positions, but at front, Josh Chin has a pretty sizable lead already over Archie Coveney, who has Eric Troiano just behind him, Adriano Pinero with Kevin Burrell and Ethan Stanley breathing down his neck currently. This will be a nice battle heading into the final chicane. Troiano with a little bit of a lockup there. There's Pinero actually with the lockup. Burrell looking to his inside, gets back in line. Ethan Stanley goes Chad Simpson and Chad Frankenfield. 7th and 8th place cars back in line as the drivers snake down this front straightaway. It is side by side between Coveney and Troiano into turn number 1.
Yeah, Robert, going back to Ryan Schull, it looks like Butch Davis checked up just a tiny bit. Looks like we have a caution on the track.
Caution is out on the racetrack. I believe it does involve, yes, Hunter Smith and Chris Samard on the racetrack. I think Hunter Smith was actually still stuck in the wall, as we will take a look on the Robilos Photography replay machine. Just see what happened here with Hunter Smith and Chris Samard on the front straightaway. Looks like Hunter Smith's car just steps out. He ends up in the inside wall, goes for a flip, loses the nose off that car, the right front tire hanging off. Chris Samard just nowhere to go, drives underneath the Hunter Smith machine. Both of those cars, I do believe, will be done for the evening, as they're not overly tough, these cars. They can't take too much of a beating.
Yeah, Robert, Hunter Smith just slightly clipped the grass coming off the exit of the turn, and that's what got his car out of control and just took a straight right in that wall.
Yeah, that was a very, very weird incident there. That caution was thrown manually by our race controller, Jonathan Cutlip. And just again, for those of you keeping track at home, all these drivers do have to make about 3 pit stops tonight. This is an 85-lap event. There's 2 tire compounds that they will have to run at least 1 full lap on throughout tonight's event. So you may see some guys come down pit road here and potentially change up their tire compound and try out a different one here, but I think it might be a little too early at this point to really think about coming down pit road.
Yeah, not sure what tire compound has the biggest advantage, but I did read in the notes that you have to run both compounds for at least 1 lap. So if you feel like one tire compound is at a disadvantage, right now might be okay to come down, put on the ones you don't really want to have, get a couple laps on, maybe get another caution or cycle throughout this green flag run and get the tires that you need to perform.
As we just got an update from Race Control, a tally has been issued to the 60 machine from the lap 1 incident between Jesper Orman and I do believe it was the 4 of Ryan Schull. Orman was issued a tally, and the lap 2 incident, Hunter Smith was issued a tally as well for that incident there. So a couple tallies early on. Of course, for those of you at home that do not know the tally system, once 2 tallies are received, that is the end of your night. But again, in these cars, if you're getting 2 tallies, I don't really know that it's the tally system that'll be parking you.
Little interesting about the first tally. Before that caution came out, I was saying it looked like Butch Davis checked up a little bit. I think that was a Hunter Smith, got him a little bit messed up in his braking zone, checked up, and then Jesper got into the back of him. Race Control didn't feel like that was quite the case, but it's very, very difficult going into turn 1 when somebody brakes a little bit earlier than you're thinking, or brakes a little bit too late.
Yeah, and that will definitely be something that we will see throughout the event tonight, is the differing braking zones and braking points by these drivers. Certain drivers do like to drive a little bit deeper. A driver like Chad Frankenfield, from experience I've seen, he tends to like to brake a little bit later than some of these other guys, and that's just confidence with the car. As actually we see here, Mark Murphy and Jared Rexing both coming down pit road. We're going to watch here from the broadcast booth Mark Murphy and see if he does opt to take a different tire compound. He's currently on the red compound, and I do believe the second option is the white tire. So we'll see if Mark Murphy takes a different set here as he comes to the attention of his pit crew. They do jack up that number 69 machine, and it does appear that he has changed tire compounds. So
yep.
Mark Murphy going to come out on the white tires this time. Came down on the reds, coming out on the whites. Jared Rexing, I believe, did the opposite. Is Jared Rexing going to exit on a red set of tires here? Also on pit road, Jesper Orman. He was involved in the lap 1 incident. Mark Robilas on pit road. Tim Robb as well. And, of course, Hunter Smith, Chris Samard, Brant Johnson, and Bill Colley all on pit road. But out front, Josh Chin, Eric Troiano, Archie Coveney, Adriano Pinero, and Kevin Burrell, the top 5. Ethan Stanley, Chad Simpson, Chad Frankenfield, Justin Fortner, and Butch Davis, the top 10. A couple guys have moved quite a bit so far in this race. Victor Del Porto up 13 positions, as well as Michael Hosek, another driver, up 13 spots from his starting position. And, of course, the biggest loss so far, Jesper Orman, down 20 spots, but he did come down pit road, and looks like he's going to settle into the 31st position on the upcoming restart here.
Other thing I want to mention is this entry list, the field size. Typically with this series, you see 33 cars, sometimes even smaller. Tonight we got 37 tonight, so a big field of drivers could create some chaos.
Absolutely could indeed create a bit of chaos out there for these guys. And, you know, it's really nice to see a big field of drivers out here. We've had some issues in the past with open wheel series kind of falling off a little bit, but this Dallara series definitely has some dedicated drivers, and of course with some recent changes by iRacing.com to make it a little harder to run these series, it surely made these guys a bit excited when we decided to bring this back. We ran the Lotus 49 for a season, and these guys decided that it was time to go back in the Dallara cars. We see the iRacing.com Porsche come down pit road. Josh Chin now has the field back in his hands ahead of Eric Troiano. They're stacking up a little bit behind these guys here as Josh Chin does stack the field up, gets a fantastic start here. Josh Chin out like a bullet as side by side now Eric Troiano and Archie Coveney for P2. We do have Coveney on the inside with the advantage, but Troiano outbreaks him into turn number 1. Nice job by Eric Troiano to maintain the position as Kevin Burrell was able to outbreak Ethan Stanley as well, get by him. We do have a clear single file all the way back to Jacob West and AJ Hobson now, as Jacob West able to gain the 16th position over Hobson. But back up front, Joshua Chin doing what he does best, and that is leading this thing by a margin.
Pretty clean restart this time. We saw a little bit of guys check up. I saw some tire smoke come out of the back, but everybody clean free through turn 1.
Absolutely. As I look a little bit further back, I see Jesper Orman off the racetrack. He is off into the grass, able to rejoin the field here. Looks like he tried to slow up a little bit to let the field by. It just didn't work out too well for him, but able to get going without too much issue. As I'm watching Mark Murphy work his way up, we'll see how those tires do for him, as well as Jared Rexing. Those guys find themselves in 26th and 27th respectively here as we look for battles out on the racetrack. Looks like Craig Forsyth and Ryan Schuld battling side by side. Forsyth with a great run down into turn number 1. He's going to take Victor Del Porto with him. It's Del Porto and Schuld side by side. Schuld gets off into the grass just a little bit. Del Porto off on the right side in turn number 2, able to clear down to turn number 3. Give Victor Del Porto that number 19 position over Ryan Schuld. Great battle here Now Chad Simpson side by side with Chad Frankenfield. Frankenfield on the right-hand side, able to take advantage of the rumble strips there, clearing the Chad Simpson machine. Chad Frankenfield on the move here, up 3 spots from the start of this event.
You mentioned Frankenfield and his aggressive driving style, especially under braking, and that's what we saw right there with Chad and Chad Simpson, with Chad getting a little bit heavier into the braking zone and passing Simpson.
Yeah, Frankenfield always aggressive under braking, but that's something that's worked well for him. You know, Chad Frankenfield has won numerous races. Ryan Schold coming down pit road now, Johnny.
Yeah, Schold has some major damage, and it might be the end of the day for him. Is that Butch Davis that was off the pace too?
Robert Smith in the 88. Looks like he has heavy damage on that race car, not turning well at all. Not sure what actually happened to him there. Maybe just trying to gather it back up after a little off-track excursion, but some early incidents there for Little Eagle Racing. Hunter Smith and Ryan Schold both do appear to be out of the race, leaving just Chad Frankenfield and Justin Fortner left for the Little Eagle camp, running 6th and 8th respectively. So good run for Little Eagle. 2 of those cars and 2 more not to please. Victor Del Porto just rejoining the racetrack after having an off-track moment himself, back in the 21st position, so lost a couple positions with a brief landscaping journey there. Is just behind him Jeremy Miller and Chris Webb gearing up for a side-by-side battle into the final chicane here at Indy GP. This we have a wreck behind Jesper Orman. Mark Murphy involved. Murphy backwards going across the grass. Had a little bit of help with Tim Robb, able to get back on the racetrack. I think Mark Murphy will be okay. Yes, he will. He'll stay out on the racetrack, but scary moment there for Mark Murphy.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say something about Mark and Jared, and it seems like their progress is kind of stalled out in the 20s. Haven't been able to make too much ground up.
Yeah, what I've noticed with Jared Rexing here is he's had a bit of a lockup the past couple of laps. Every time he gets in a little bit of a battle, we see some smoke coming off of those tires. As an update for those at home, Ryan Schold has rejoined the field, so good to see Schold back out. He's about a lap and a half behind, actually, yeah, a lap and a half off of the leaders. So Ryan Schold still in the race, but gonna have a lot of work to do if he wants to get himself a half-decent finish tonight. And another driver I just want to point out, Archie Coveney was up inside the top 3 not long ago. He actually started on the front row, now finds himself back in 9th, about to fall out of the top 10. Butch Davis makes a great outbraking maneuver on Archie Coveney, move Coveney back to 10th. Davis up to 9th here. Butch Davis showing some strength here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Sebastian Saavedra had an off-track moment there, able to regather that machine back in the 20th position. Just a quick off-track, not too much harm done there, as we are seeing some drivers start to fall off a little bit, and we actually missed this not too long ago. Eric Troiano did get by the Joshua Chin machine for the race lead, so Eric Troiano the leader with Josh Chin not too far behind.
Have to go back to see that, because Joshua Chin, you know, about 2 laps before was 0.6 ahead, and then a lap after was about close to 2 seconds ahead, so something must have happened to Josh to put Troiano in the lead.
Just taking a look to see if we can find that pass. But Eric Troiano is the new race leader ahead of Joshua Chin. Joshua Chin very, very strong in these cars. So we still work to find that Eric Troiano pass. I don't think we're actually going to see it here on the list, so it was almost like a magical move. William White, I think, just had a moment here on the racetrack. He is off on the exit of the pit road here. Went for a bit of a loop in turn number 1. Very easy to do that. I know we did that in our truck series Sunday night here, and I think I went around in that corner 6 or 7 times. So William White, don't feel too bad about that one.
A little bit harder to break in the trucks, right?
A bit heavier, yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's not too easy at this racetrack as we see cars fanned out on the long back straightaway here. William White back on the track in P20. Eric Troiano still leading over Joshua Chin. Probably about 10 car lengths or so between these guys as Chin gets a great exit from the infield portion of the racetrack here. We'll see if he can try to outbrake Troiano just a little bit, close that gap as we see Adriano Pinero, Kevin Burrell not too far behind as Chin does get a bit closer here. Just taking a look at the lap times, Johnny, it's very, very quick laps between Troiano and Chin. Nearly 0.2 of a second quicker last time for Troiano, but their quickest time separated not by too much at all, about 1/10 of a second here. Tim Robb off the racetrack.
Yeah, you're seeing track position really matter. The top 6 guys, their last lap was in the 13-second bracket. A few in the low 14s, but you get back into 12th through 20th, it seems like a battle. Their lap time's minute 15, but what I can't get over is the competitiveness of everybody throughout the race. I'm familiar with the stock car side of things when it comes to road courses, and it typically gets pretty spread out. We got a car around, it's a 68. The 68 car's around.
Chris Webb around. Oh,
and he just collected into the
my.
57.
Chris Webb just absolutely clobbered Jeremy Miller in there. I do believe we are under caution out here on the racetrack. What did we just witness? We're going to watch that back here on
Jeremy
the Robilas Photography replay machine. Jeremy absolutely destroyed there by the Chris Webb machine. We'll watch Chris Webb down the long straightaway here in the infield portion of the racetrack. Looks like he's going to... Oh, my gosh. Let's back that up just a little bit further.
He locks up the tires, goes around. That's Chris Webb.
So Chris Webb gets around. And drives straight into Jeremy Miller. And wow, that was a huge impact right there. Absolutely destroyed both of those Dallara machines here. We just lost 2 more cars. I'm going to say right now, they are out of the race. There is no way those guys come back from that.
Yeah, I'm trying to save Chris a little bit, and I don't know really how to. You know, typically when you spin out, especially in an area where it's oncoming traffic, heavy traffic, and there's really nowhere to go, you typically just got to stop. You got to stay there, let everybody by, and regain. This time, Chris kind of just drove it back into the main racing line, and it didn't end up too good.
No, that did not end up too good whatsoever, as we did miss an update from Race Control. Lap 7 incident between the 17 of Tim Robb and the 69 of Mark Murphy. Tally was issued to Tim Robb, so that taking us back just a little bit here, as the pace car is on the safety car, I guess we should say, in this series, has Eric Troiano and the field under his command here. We'll see if these guys opt to come down pit road. Still 74 laps remaining, lap 11 of tonight's event here, as Millerin, of course, as well as Chris Webb on pit road. We're watching Eric Troiano and the field. Troiano comes to pit road. Josh Chin stays out. Adriano Pinero follows down. Kevin Burrell, Ethan Stanley. Oh, big stoppage on pit road here. Not sure what just happened there, but it looks like, yes, the field was pacing a lot slower than those coming to pit road, so they had to check up on the access road not to get a passing under yellow penalty. So your new top 5 on the racetrack does appear to be Josh Chin, Chad Simpson, Archie Coveney, Gavin Hibbs, and Jacob Wiesta as well. Jared Rexing and Matt Quick staying out on the racetrack. So we're going to have about 7 cars on the track here, as we are under caution number 2 here tonight, waiting for an update from Race Control, but we're going to go ahead and send it to a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll see if we can get a nice green flag run in here.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Anything, you can't say anything.
And we are back here in the Happy Hollow Children's Camp 4th Annual Indy GP here. Happy Hollow is a summer camp meant to provide kids in the inner city of Indianapolis a week out in the sun and nature. Most kids coming have parents working multiple jobs and have to force their kids inside for their own safety. For just $60, families can send their kids to camp for a week. Everything is taken care of by Happy Hollow via generous donors. Their programs are overnight 6 days and 5 nights at the beautiful 850-acre campground in Nashville, Indiana. Happy Hollow provides transportation for campers to and from camp, 3 meals a day, a place to sleep, and endless activities. Check out Happy Hollow Children's Camp today. We are back under green here, and it is, of course, Joshua Chin leading over Chad Simpson. We did just hear from our friends at TA Services as well as iRacing.com. Of course, we have to give a shout out to Blue Egg Marketing. Blue Egg is the marketing department for small businesses, small business owners. Blue Egg is your biggest fan as well. Worldwide Technology Raceway, home to a quarter-mile drag strip, a 1.25-mile oval, 2-mile road course, and a state-of-the-art karting facility known as the Kartplex. We got Worldwide Technology Raceway today as we look down on the racetrack, and things are getting a little dicey as we just went back under green here. Seeing some battles for position as guys are on older tires, guys are on fresh tires, so just a wide variety of strategy throughout the field. But before we do get back to the action, of course, I have to shout out Warriors for Peace, our premier partner here for this series. Warriors for Peace is a foundation promoting peaceful change in the world to honor the beautiful life of Jack Shockley. Check out warriorsforpeace.org for more information. Back down on the racetrack, Joshua Chin leading over Archie Coveney. Our second place starter is back up on the front row here, a little bit back from the Josh Chin machine. Gavin Hibbs there in third. Chad Simpson, Jacob Weiss, the top 5. Jared Rexing, Adriano Pinero, Ethan Stanley, Eric Toriano, and Kevin Burrell, the top 10. We look for some battles out there on the racetrack. There's plenty of them going around here as pretty much from 3rd through 5th, all within about a second and a half of each other or so. A little bit further back, we have a side-by-side battle. William White, Colin Kolpka, as Kolpka able to take advantage of William White, gain a position there, and he's up to 19th as Robert Smith has a bit of an excursion off the racetrack. Johnny?
Yeah, I was noticing Robert Smith a little bit earlier. He was off the track about 10 seconds before you called it. And then I'm interested to see what I'd love to talk to Jared Rexing. I want to see if that actually helped him or hurt him, because he was one of the guys that pitted under that first caution, stayed under this caution, now up to 6th place. So I don't know if the tires that he originally started the race on was what he wanted to take off, and he might be sitting in good shape right now.
One thing I'm noticing is the track does appear to be fairly quick right now. A lot of guys just ran their quickest lap of the race. As you see on your timing and scoring here, the column indicating last, a lot of these guys lit up in green, indicating that they did just run the quickest lap around the circuit. I see Mark Murphy losing a couple positions here. Zachary Flom, Sebastian Saavedra go on by. Victor Del Porto looking for his opportunity to move into the top 25 as well. So Mark Murphy looking backwards here as he was caught up in an earlier incident. And while we were away, we did get an update from Race Control. A tally was issued to the 68 of Chris Webb for his incident with Jeremy Millerin in the 57 on lap number 11. Of course, we did watch that there. It looked like Chris Webb went around and just hammered down the gas, trying to get turned back around, unfortunately into Millerin, and ended both of their nights prematurely here as we look up in the top 5. No real side-by-side battle at this point, but Josh Chen able to take advantage here and really pulling away from Archie Coveney.
Yeah, looking back, I'm looking at Butch Davis and Chad Frankenfield. Chad, I think, restarted 15th on that run. He's already all the way up to 12th place, so he's trying to work his way up to the top 10, and Butch Davis right behind Kevin Burrell.
Yeah, Chad Frankenfield on the move. Like you mentioned, Butch Davis just ahead of him, and Kevin Burrell just off the front wing of the Davis machine there. Justin Fortner also up in that battle. Here comes J.L. Ritter and Craig Forsyth. So we're about to have a 7 or 8 car battle. Victor Del Porto off the racetrack here in one of the final corners of the road course. He's now side by side with Mark Murphy, able to clear the Murphy machine, stay ahead. I apologize, that is Michael Hosick, not Mark Murphy. And just an update, actually, Chris Webb is leaving his pit box.
Still going.
And he is towed. So it looked like he was trying. He was trying and just did not work. But kudos to Chris Webb for trying to get back out here. He has towed back to his garage stall as Archie Coveney, I do think, is actually closing the gap just a little bit on the Joshua Chen machine.
Another crash. It is the 60 or the 56. No, Matt Fairley went around. There's no caution.
Looks like Matt Quick here losing his front wing. The entire left side of that front wing absolutely missing. Oh no, Michael Hosick just got into the back of Matt Quick, and off goes the nose of the Michael Hosick machine, and actually just came back. So not too bad.
Noses everywhere.
Victor Del Porto off the racetrack once again here. The Del Porto
Also,
struggling.
The guy that hit Matt Farley, Sebastian Saavedra, his nose no longer on the car.
So nobody has a nose here, which is great because we are coming up to allergy season as Saavedra goes for a bit of a slide there.
He's down
to pit road. Yes, absolutely needed, as the entire right side of the Saavedra nose is gone. Saavedra coming down pit road here to the attention of his pit crews. We have a side-by-side battle for 21st. That is Chris Walker and Zachary Flom. Flom able to outbrake Walker into turn number 1. Flom now able to start pulling away just a little bit as we have Ethan Stanley just getting by Jacob Weist for the 6th position. So move Ethan Stanley back to the spot that he began tonight's race in. Seb Alexander just had a moment here at the end of the long infield straightaway. He has gone off the racetrack, so a little bit of a moment for Seb Alexander rejoining and heading down for the final few corners here in the infield portion of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. A lot of action here in such a quick time as Josh Chin does continue to lead over Archie Coveney. Coveney was just looking for an opportunity to pounce in turn number 1. Robert Smith back off the racetrack. This time looks like he's going to go fully around as he rejoins the racetrack also off of that long infield straightaway. So I wonder if that corner has started to get a little slick as track temperature surely rising at this point. Robert Smith just now getting himself going once again. Matt Quick has made his way to pit road after losing his front wing there. I believe Robert Smith, yes, he has just gone off the racetrack once again.
One more time.
And he will stay on the racetrack, not opting to go to pit road there. So I think Robert Smith needs to give his tires the opportunity now to cool down just a little bit, get back to temperature so they can start gripping the racetrack once again. That's always an issue after having a moment. Actually, Joshua Chin, just for you watching at home or listening at home, he did just briefly go through the grass entering the final corner of this racetrack. So a couple movements like that, and that could hand over the race lead to Archie Coveney.
Yeah, same thing that Hunter Smith ended his day on, hitting that piece of grass out of the last turn of the track. Update on Sebastian Saavedra. He is 1 lap down. He got his nose put back on, and he's back up on the track.
And as Saavedra does re-enter the racetrack, nearly did run into the back of the vehicle.
Almost lost it again.
Exactly. Nearly ran into, trying to catch the number on that machine, but the car just ahead of Saavedra nearly had a piece of Saavedra in the rear end there, so that was not looking too good. And one thing I've started noticing here on Joshua Chin's machine, especially heading down into turn number 1, is those front brakes are very, very red, as he just had a brief lockup into the final chicane here on the racetrack. So these guys are pushing these brakes really, really hard right now, as Eric Troiano just got by Jared Rexing for the 8th position. The battle does continue here. Troiano and Rexing just ahead is Jacob Weiss by a little bit. Rexing leaving, looking for an opportunity. Kevin Burrell, Butch Davis, Chad Frankenfield, all within a brief distance of each other. So the battle heating up as we head off into turn number 1. Troiano currently ahead of Jared Rexing. Rexing looking for a chance to pounce. Here comes Kevin Burrell to the inside of Jared Rexing. Locks up a little bit. Rexing goes wide. Here comes Butch Davis. And I do believe that's actually Sebastian Saavedra that did just get by Jared Rexing. So Saavedra, of course, 1 lap down with a nose replacement. So this is getting very interesting here as these cars are all tightening right back up as the tires have started to even out just a little bit here at the Indianapolis GP. Looking at Gavin Hibbs, he has a handful of cars just behind him. That is 3rd place Hibbs, 4th place Chad Simpson, Ethan Stanley right off the rear wing of Simpson. Here's Adriano Pinero, as well as Simpson and Stanley are side by side for the 4th position. Ethan Stanley able to take advantage heading into the final corner of this racetrack.
Joshua Chin and Archie Coveney absolutely scorching the field right now. The last lap, they were a 1.5 seconds quicker than 3rd place and about 2 to 3 seconds quicker than everybody else in the field, and they've opened themselves up to a 12-second gap on 3rd place Gavin Hibbs.
That's absolutely incredible to see the gap that these guys have built on the field as we watch Joshua Chin. Well, we watch and you listen about Joshua Chin as he locks up once again in the infield. These guys are pushing very hard.
That's an 11-second gap in, what, 8 laps, Robert? That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I believe we're about 8 laps since we went green as we see a battle here. That is Chad Simpson, Jacob Weiss and Eric Troiano, and everybody behind them basically all together now. So if we were to have one car slip up here, this could be a massive incident as we have basically from 5th place back to 18th all together here.
Oh, we got a wreck. It's Frankenfield and Rexing off the track.
Oh, no. Chad. Oh, they're still wrecking here. It's Frankenfield and Rexing trying to remerge onto the racetrack. Here comes Frankenfield ahead of a handful of cars. We're going to take a look at that one once again here and just see what happened. We're watching the Jared Rexing machine here. So we do see Gavin Hibbs and Ethan Stanley swapping positions. Yellow flag back out on the racetrack. Caution number 3. Ooh, there's one of Chad Frankenfield's hard braking moments.
Yep.
Just slides right into Jared Rexing.
He was getting frustrated with Butch Davis. I mentioned early on, like right before, like 2 to 3 laps after the green flag, Chad worked his way up from about 15th to 12th. And since then, Butch was giving him a good run for his money and was not letting him by. In that turn, Chad tried to do a little 2-for-1, and Butch got away. Rexing did not.
Yeah, Butch definitely did get away there. Unfortunately for Jared Rexing, not able to gain any positions at all. So very interesting what just happened there with Rexing and Frankenfield. Now for sure damage in those machines. Frankenfield absolutely went through the Jared Rexing machine, but what I noticed was a little bit of net code in that incident as well. So I'm wondering if Chad Frankenfield may have actually dodged a bullet there and doesn't have too much damage.
Interesting to see why the caution came out. Both those cars slid through the grass. Didn't appear to be in anybody's way. I don't know if we missed something on the track that happened, but I didn't think that warranted a caution.
So that was the only thing that triggered on our event list here, as those following at home also see the same information that we have in the top right corner of your broadcast screen. That is the event list here tonight, and I'm not seeing anything that really would warrant a yellow flag. So wait for a bit of an update from race controller Jonathan Cutlip on that one. We're going to see who opts to come down pit road here. The field stacking up in the infield portion of the racetrack, but Josh Chin now leads Archie Coveney, Gavin Hibbs, Ethan Stanley, and Adriano Pinero. Top 5, Chad Simpson, Jacob Weist, Eric Troiano, Kevin Burrell, and Butch Davis. Top 10 for those following at home. Jared Rexing did fall to 18th after that incident, and Chad Frankenfield 14th. But this, of course, is prior to any pit stops. So that'll be interesting to see here as we are getting close to the pit road entry here. Just a couple more turns. Let's see who opts to come down pit road and take some tires here, as we are 61 laps to go here. 85 lap event tonight, so about 25 laps in. Josh Chin has been out front for most of them.
Looking at Frankenfield's car, it doesn't look like he has hardly any damage. Same thing with Rexing, so it looked like both got a pretty good hit, but got a little bit lucky, like you mentioned, with the net code. They seem to be okay.
Yeah, as we watch Josh Chin here, he is coming to pit road, as is Archie Coveney. Looks like Adriano Pinero is staying on the racetrack, as well as, I believe that to be Eric Troiano. Kevin Burrell on the racetrack as well. There's John Fortner, Gal Ritter, Jesper Orman, William White, and Colin Kolpka, as well as Mark Murphy. And I do believe Sebastian Saavedra staying on the racetrack as well. Not sure if they have wave rounds here or lucky dogs. It does look like Saavedra looking for an opportunity to make a move here. So I think to follow along as we're just going to send it here to crank it up. And we'll be right back here in just a few moments when we get set to go green once again. We are back here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Adriano Pinheiro leading the way here. The caution just wrapping up. No update from race control yet on the reason for that caution, but Pinheiro leading for Troiano and Kevin Burrell. Justin Fortner there with Yao Ritter back in the 5th position, side by side. It is Yao Ritter and Justin Fortner. Ritter to the outside, Fortner on the inside here, very close through the corner, nearly contact. Ritter off a little bit on the left side, able to clear Justin Fortner, move Yao Ritter up to the 4th position here. Pinheiro able to clear into the infield portion of the racetrack. Now looking a little bit further back, looks like the battle is Jesper Orman and William White. White going to look for an opportunity down the infield long straightaway here to potentially outbreak, work his way up as we see Chris Walker and Chad Frankenfield side by side. Frankenfield back in the 22nd position, losing a spot here to Zachary Flom, as now, contact right there. Rexing and Flom just made impact coming out of the infield portion of the racetrack here. So it looks like Chris Walker losing a couple of spots here. Very interesting how things have shaken up a little bit. We're going to have to watch Joshua Chin as he finds himself back in the 8th position. Going to have to work his way up past the likes of William White, Jesper Orman and company if he wants to work his way back to the race lead. Up there.
Another one. I'm seeing a lot. I'm scanning through the track. There's tons of lockup, and it seems to be on the early side of the run. And the laps are going by pretty clean the first couple laps, and then as the laps get on the tires, it seems like these cars start freeing up a little bit, and that's when you're seeing the guys overstepping their boundaries.
I think as we have a car off the racetrack, that is Chad Simpson just having a moment here. He reemerges on the racetrack, nearly getting into the likes of Sam Alexander, AJ Hobson. Now he's side by side with Zachary Flom and Chad Frankenfield. Last time the Chads worked together, it nearly ended in disaster for Chad Frankenfield. As Frankenfield now has Jared Rexing. Here's Rexing behind Frankenfield. We'll see if anything heats up here from the earlier contact. I don't think it will, but you really never know with these guys. Oh, we just had a moment. Victor Del Porto. Victor Del Porto overcorrected, went way off the racetrack. Now able to grab a little bit of asphalt here as he nearly makes contact with Mark Rabilis. Del Porto back to 26th here on the racetrack. But going back to the lockups, I think a big thing is these guys are so used to how it runs a couple laps into their tire stint that when they get out on the fresh tires, they're trying to push it the exact same way that they were earlier. When you don't have the temperatures up in these cars, in the tires and the brakes, that can certainly cause a bit of uncomfortableness or misbalance in the race car that I think these guys are seeing a little bit out here. As we see side by side now, that is Archie Coveney and William White. Coveney able to get through, Ethan Stanley coming through as well, so William White losing a couple positions on the racetrack. I actually spoke with William White heading into tonight's race, and he had mentioned that he's going to be doing a bit more of the stock car stuff here in Elite next season. He's trying to hold off Gavin Hibbs right now. William White took part in our ARCA series on Tuesday nights this season, did fairly well, and now is going to dip his toes into the truck series next season with Corey Abbott's Abbott Motorsports team. So looking forward to seeing what William can do out there in a truck in 2023B as Gavin Hibbs does get by and move into the top 10.
It's good to see the crossover. I see a few names I recognize, but not a ton. It's always, I mean, I respect the guys. This is a dedicated series, the Elite Open Wheel Series. And we got a car in the grass.
That's Robert Smith. Yes, it is. Robert Smith opening a landscaping company here at IndyGP. You know, he's still doing better than I would, so shout out to Robert Smith for carrying the name here tonight at IndyGP and just trying to log laps and see what he can do. Maybe he's more of an open, or maybe he's an oval guy. and we'll see what he can do on the oval here at Indy, starting next week, I believe it is, with qualifying.
Yeah, I'm pumped up for that. It's going to be really, really exciting. I know a lot of people are looking forward to it. And, I'm excited. I think I'm going to plant my butt somewhere in one of those turns and call the action from the turn while you guys have fun over there in the booth.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a fun race. I've taken part in quite a few. You've actually won an Indianapolis 500 here in the Elite Racing League. It's still a victory, Johnny. I saw your tweet earlier today. Oh no, Robert Smith just had a moment. No. He's crashed his car.
He's not only had the hat trick, it's now 4, 5, maybe 6 times. I don't know what you call it. Oh, he almost did it again.
Robert Smith getting a lot of airtime tonight.
If this wasn't a radio broadcast, his sponsors would love us.
I don't even know if he has a sponsor on that machine. If he doesn't, get a hold of Robert Smith, get on board that number 88 machine and help him out. He's got something that says EP on the side of that car. So shout out to EP for supporting Robert Smith here. As we see Adriano Pinero out front. I think this car says Bread King, which is pretty cool. Yeah, Bread King on the Adriano Pinero number 56 machine. Looking at that 56, that number has had a... Oh, no, we have a crash. Oh, no, that's a big one. Zachary Flom with pieces of his car everywhere. It looks like somebody just took a bag of Mr. Potato Head and dropped pieces everywhere as that car lost just about everything. He's going to go around the racetrack once again. Let's rewind that. We are under yellow here, folks. Zachary Flom, Chad Simpson with a big moment here. Watching the pink Zachary Flom machine here as Chad Simpson enters the picture. Simpson's on the inside here. They are back on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway oval, entering the final set of corners here. That was Chad Frankfield that just went by. Chad Simpson into the rear of Flom, sends Flom around. Another car piles in. Actually, I think that's Chad Simpson there that just went over the Zachary Flom machine. About 3 or 4 cars just involved in that one. There's pieces of everyone's car everywhere here in, I believe that to be the 3rd last corner of the racetrack. So car does not look very good.
No, Ryan Schold looked like a monster truck. He looked like Tom Mintz, Maximum Destruction, just climbing over that car.
You know, we're in hockey.
Keeps on rolling.
We're in hockey playoffs in the real life right now, and this car looks like someone broke his nose, broke his tail, because every time he turns a corner,
hockey players have tails?
I guess so. Every time he turns a corner, a different part of his car is just wiggling and wagging another way. So it's actually comical to watch this number 02 machine make his way around the racetrack. I am shocked he's been able to make it back around as he comes to pit road here. But Zachary Flom has certainly seen better days than that number 02 machine as he comes to pit road. I don't know how that rear wing's still stuck on there. They got bungee cords or something in that car.
Looks like an anteater, just like his nose just eating the ground, eating the ants there.
Absolutely. As we have 53 laps remaining, it is Adriano Pinero out front here ahead of Eric Troiano, Kevin Burrell, Justin Fortner, and Joshua Chin. So Chin able to work his way back into the top 5 here. Jesper Orman, Archie Coveney, Yao Ritter, Ethan Stanley, and Gavin Hibbs, the top 10. William White, Colin Kolpka, Butch Davis, and Craig Forsyth, as well as Jacob Weiss, the top 15. Mark Murphy, AJ Hobson, Chad Frankenfield, Jared Rixing, and Chris Walker, the top 20. Then we find Chad Simpson, who is missing a front wing on that car. Michael Hossack, Seb Alexander, Victor Del Porto, and Mark Robiles, top 25. And the last 2 cars on the lead lap are Sebastian Saavedra and Ryan. They are a lap to each. So the only cars on lead lap are the top 25. Zachary Flom surely going down a lap. He's on pit road. I don't believe he's actually in his box.
Doesn't look like it.
Actually, he may be, because it looks like they fixed that car up. interesting because for those of you listening at home, the entire left side of the Zachary Flom car is hanging over the line of his pit boxes. We do have some cars coming down pit lane here. Does look like we have Justin Fortner coming down pit road. William White gonna join him. Colin Kolpka, Mark Murphy coming down pit road. So just a few cars on pit road here is Chad Simpson, Michael Hostek, Seb Alexander, Victor Del Porto, and Mark Murphy joining that group. Coming down pit road, lights are off on the iRacing.com pace car, so one more lap under caution here until we get going green once again. Looks like Adriano Pinero just wants his name up on the screen all night there, as that has been stuck there for a bit.
I was paying attention to Joshua Chen and Archie Coveney during that green flag run, and they did work their way up a pretty substantial amount. You know, Joshua got himself up to 4th, Archie 7th. You got Jesper and Justin Fortner mixed in there in the middle between them.
So an update from Dave Huckleberry, correction to what we said earlier with the tires. It is not red and white, it is actually red and black compounds. So the tires that look like they have a little bit more white are in fact black, and the ones that are red are red. So that
who would have thought?
That makes sense. Thank you,
I am extremely new to the road coursing side. I would have to say that I'm a little bit knowledgeable when it comes to open wheel oval, but I'm lost out here, Robert. But it is fun keeping up with our screen, keeping up with my screen. I didn't think there'd be this much action, but there is. Well, this is our 4th caution already.
I do believe this is caution number 4. Just an update from race control. Tally was just issued to the 49 machine of Seb Alexander for contact with the 02 of Zachary Flom. So we didn't even say Seb Alexander, but he was involved in that wreck, and he just got a tally. Adriano Pinero is leading the race over Troiano, Burrell, Chin, and Orman. Coveney, Ritter, Stanley, Hibbs, and Davis the top 10. So Butch Davis moves his way back into the top 10 here. As Dave, I'm glad you're watching and filling us in on this information, because we probably would have said they had yellow tires and green tires and blue tires too.
Those green tires are really fast.
Yeah, them green tires out there on these big kazoo cars are helping them get around this racetrack. But one guy I want to point out here, Chad Frankenfield's worked his way back up to the 14th position, and another guy just a couple spots ahead of him doing really well, Greg Forsyth. Colin Kolpka stopped on the racetrack. I think he may have had a speeding penalty there. But Craig Forsyth up 16 spots to the 11th position. Yao Ritter up 14 spots to 7th. So nice job by them. Pace car off. Adriano Pinero on the loud pedal here. Green flag, and we are back underway as the field heads down the front straightaway towards turn number 1. First real side-by-side we see here, Jesper Orman, Archie Coveney battling side-by-side. Coveney and Orman nearly making contact there as the field does clear off into turn number 1. No incidents there, which is rather good to see. As Ethan Stanley looking really strong now, making his way past the Ritter now with Hibbs and Davis just behind him. Forsyth and Hobson now just behind, as we see an incident here just about. Butch Davis locks up his rear wheels there. AJ Hobson looking for an opportunity to pounce there, as these guys are having a moment. Now Ritter just had a moment of his own. He went off track and just rejoined. Of course, the driver from, I do believe, Brazil there, driving for Tony Kanon's team.
And there goes Butch.
Butch Davis got into the corner really hot here. It is the corner heading down into what is the final chicane here. Nearly got into the back. Yeah, Ritter actually coming to pit road, so maybe some contact there just slightly as Butch Davis did go around on the racetrack, was able to get it back going here. He's 25th on the racetrack, so lost quite a few positions, but not too much damage done to anybody there. As just looking through the field, Chad Frankenfield now about to make a pass on AJ Hobson to move back into the top 10. So it's taken Frankenfield a while to get here, but now he's here and ready to rejoin that top 10. Going towards the front is looking through the field. There he goes. Chad Frankenfield outbraking the AJ Hobson machine into one of the final corners here as we see some lockups behind them there. But what a race it's been so far. Battles all throughout. It's just not good for those at home. Yao Ritter now rejoining the field here in Indianapolis after a visit to pit road. Get some attention from his pit crew.
Yeah, and if you just started listening, you know, Robert, you mentioned Chad working his way up into the top 10. Chad was once there only about 10 laps ago, and he had an incident where Rexon went off the track. Both went back into the 20th and 21st position, and both of those guys now trying to work themselves in the top 10. Chad 11th, Rexon 13th.
Definitely a lot of work for these guys to get their way back up to the front of the racetrack here, to the front of the field, as they were back all the way in the mid-20s, getting their cars repaired, trying to work their way back up. It's taken a while. 2 or 3 cautions as we see side by side here. Chad Frankenfield finally clears AJ Hobson to move into the 10th position. Hobson just ahead of Jacob Weiss. That's P11 and 12 on the racetrack as Hobson trying to hold off Weiss and Jared Rexon just behind them. Chris Walker, Victor Del Porto, and Mark Murphy battling for position as well. Seb Alexander joining the party in his number 49 machine. It's really unfortunate, Johnny, that those following along at home cannot see the paint schemes or the liveries on these cars, because there are some stunning jobs that these designers have done. I'm looking through the field. Adriano Pinero in that beautiful orange Bread King machine. I love that paint scheme. Absolutely stunning. You're looking back at the number 52 machine, Ken Burrell. Another beautiful paint scheme. Right there, Joshua Chin. I've seen that scheme many times. Their private label, purple and black. That's another beautiful car. There's a Texaco car of Eric Troiano. This one, Archie Coveney. I love the multiple colors on this thing. Blue, purple, or blue, pink, white. Very, very stunning. Archie Coveney, Jesper Orman there. Beautiful, shiny gold and blue. Ethan Stanley. This is probably the most designed car I've ever seen in my life. That shell machine. Gavin Hibbs in the DHL, yellow, red, and Forsyth. Always a nice 4D race.
Forsyth has that nice classic paint scheme. Really enjoy that. The Butch, anytime anybody runs an STP paint scheme, it always catches my eye. And that's what Butch is running. So anytime I see Butch either up front or sliding off the track, I tend to see him. The paint scheme is really, really nice.
It is a beautiful paint scheme. Another nice one out there, Chad Frankenfield, the nice yellow, blue, and white kick in the tires, Blue Ink Marketing machine. Shout out to those partners of Chad's and the lead. AJ Hobson, a stunning yellow Pennzoil car. Just looking through Jared in his typical Nesquik machine. That's another nice one. I love the color combination on the front of this Jacob Weiss machine. A nice, looks like a chromatic purple and blue nose on the Apollo number 04. Just all throughout, these cars are absolutely stunning. I'm not even sure if Chad can share pictures of these cars on social media, but if you can, be sure to check out the Elite Racing League Twitter page, Instagram, wherever you find. Be sure to check it out. Here comes Eric Troiano to pit road. We are under a pit cycle here. I didn't expect this, but...
Yeah, lap 40. And honestly, I don't think Pinheiro, I don't think Troiano, I don't think they have stopped. I'm not sure. I could be wrong, but I know it's starting to cycle my way, or the way up to Joshua Chen in first. Right now he's currently second, but Adriano still has the pit. And then you got Archie Coveney in third.
This is the second pit stop of Eric Troiano. That's pit cycle number 2. The Troiano machine. A lot of these guys probably in the same boat here, just trying to make it. And with only 46 to go, you're at the point where you could split this last segment of the race. And I think that's what some of these guys are intending to do. Find first battles on the racetrack. We've started to spread out a little bit. Looks like Justin Fortner about to get into a battle here with Chad Simpson. Here comes Adriano Pinheiro and Jesper Orman to pit road. Josh Chen moves back to the race lead as Stanley moves up to third, Coveney to second here. Pinheiro and Orman on pit road. That was your race leader, as well as I believe the 5th place car in Orman. Be interesting to watch and see how this cycles through. Who else decides to come to pit road next time by? Will we see Josh Chen come down? Will we see Archie Coveney? Maybe the likes of Chad Frankenfield a little bit further back. So keep an eye on that for you. And as soon as we know, you will as well. As we did have Robert Smith off the racetrack a moment ago, was able to gather that back up. Adriano Pinheiro, a 9-second pit stop. It's pretty impressive. About a 10th slower than Jesper Orman, though. That 10th could make a difference here, as Pinheiro actually back on the racetrack into turn number 1, able to stay ahead of Kevin Burrell and Eric Troiano. So Pinheiro didn't lose anything there in the pit cycle, but he's hoping that we go a little while under green here.
Pinheiro also laid down a killer lap right before he pitted, a 13-13. Which was faster than Joshua Chen. Was Pinheiro sandbagging for most of the race, because we mentioned it earlier, Chen and Coveney were about a second and a half faster than everybody. I never saw Pinheiro up there on the top of the leaderboard when it comes to lap time, so I think Adriano has a hot rod behind him.
As we see side by side, Jared Rexing, Jacob Wiest. Wiest takes a dive into turn number 1 on the inside of Rexing, able to outbrake him into one. Oh no, Victor Del Porto hard into the back of Jared Rexing there. That was not what Jared Rexing was hoping for. I think it did more damage to Victor Del Porto than anything. I believe, yes, he is indeed missing the left side of his front wing. Yeah, Victor Del Porto was running inside the top 10. Now he will surely have to come down to pit road and get that machine fixed up, as the balance definitely off at this point. Luckily for him, though, we are in the pit cycle, pit window at this point, as you saw a lot of guys come down pit road already. Got Frankenfield off the racetrack. Exact same spot he went off earlier. The unfortunate thing here is I do believe Chad will get a slowdown penalty issued for cutting the course, but with the way that the corners are at this racetrack, you can actually serve that penalty just by doing exactly what you were doing. So get pretty lucky there. Victor Del Porto, folks, has come down pit road, as we mentioned, ran into the rear of Jared Rexing, and did have some front wing damage. As we have a battle here, Mark Murphy and Butch Davis, the STP machine trying to hold off the number 69 of Mark Murphy. There was a lockup just up ahead. I believe that was from the William White number 43 machine.
Last lap on new tires, Adriano Pinheiro, 1:12.47. Second faster than anybody on the track. The 96, Mark Revelis, is off in the...
Mark Revelis looks like he's on vacation here.
He's hanging out. He just needs some water.
He's driving off into the parking lot or something here, because there's some random lines on the racetrack. Here he is. Mark Revelis.
There he comes.
Out there. Great job by Mark to get back on the racetrack. Victor Del Porto just rejoined after a 1-minute stomp on pit road. Here comes Seb Alexander hitting from inside the top 10 here. So Alexander, the next car to come down pit road here to take some tires and fuel. 42 laps remaining in the race here. This is the Happy Hollow Children's Camp Indy GP. The leader Joshua Chin, Archie Coveney in second, Ethan Stanley, Gavin Hibbs up in the top 5, as well as Craig Forsyth up 22 positions. Johnny, of course, pit cycle underway, but 22 positions gained. That's pretty strong for the Canadian driver.
Still impressive. I know, like you said, they're going through pit stops and a pit cycle, but Craig Forsyth, since I've started to dabble a little bit in open wheel and paying attention to Elite, because in my opinion, I think the Elite open wheel is the biggest open wheel series as far as fixed setups go. And Forsyth always will weasel his way into the top 10. So I'm anxious to see what he does here, as well as the big one coming up in a few weeks.
Absolutely. Going to be interesting to follow along and see how these guys do. As Gavin Hibbs now comes down pit road as well. Behind him, Sebastian Saavedra hitting from the down area of the racetrack. Chad Frankenfield now rejoining the top 5. So welcome back to the 5th position, Chad Frankenfield. As we see a couple other drivers moving their way up. Of course, we mentioned Craig Forsyth up 23 positions. We see Chris Walker now up 21 spots. Michael Hossack, another driver that's done a nice job, up 20 positions. This guy has shown a lot of improvement, Johnny, over the last couple months or so. I've seen him over on the ARCA side as well as the Truck Series, really picking it up. And Michael Hossack, I think, is finally starting to click and being able to put some races together. And he's done a really nice job. I can't wait to see what he can do at Indy on the oval coming up next week with qualifying.
I think Michael's biggest setback, or not even a setback, was lack of track time. He came in full throttle. He joined the Elite Cup Series, the Xfinity Series, the ARCA Truck, pretty much everything right off the bat. And when you aren't experienced, it's a rude awakening. And Michael's had a couple seasons now under his belt. You're seeing a lot of improvement out of him.
Absolutely. We've seen it with many drivers here in the lead. Of course, like you mentioned, jumping in head first is really tough. As Craig Forsyth now on pit road, he just left after an 8.3 second pit stop. That was a very quick pit stop for Craig Forsyth. So heck of a job by him there to be able to not lose too many positions on pit road. Just got passed by Eric Troiano. I think is going to stay ahead of Jesper Orman. Jay Orman just gets by. Going to be about even with Gavin Hibbs. So Craig Forsyth with a great game from where he was running, but now looking through the field, we do see Chad Frankenfield back up to 4th. Ethan Stanley back up in the 3rd position with Archie Coveney not too far ahead as well. Josh Chin. Josh Chin's actually a fair bit ahead of these guys, as Chin has found that loud pedal. Really stepped on it here. 4 seconds over the Archie Coveney machine.
I've been paying attention to Josh and Adriano Pinheiro's lap times. When Adriano hit it, he was about 4 seconds ahead of Josh, and the lap times have pretty much stayed the same. Adriano's been about 1/10 to 2/10 quicker each lap. So it all depends on how good Josh can get on pit road, have a pit stop, and get off.
Absolutely. It's all about the in-lap and the out-lap when it comes to pitting. It's not all about having a quick stop on pit road. Your crew can be the quickest, but if you do not hit your marks entering and exiting, as well as the whole lap leading up and after, you could definitely lose a lot on pit road, as Jared Rexon, like I mentioned, did pit. Currently working his way off as here comes Josh Chin down pit road now. We'll see where he cycles out here in comparison to the likes of Pinheiro, Troiano, Orman, Hibbs, Forsyth, and company here. Josh Chin still in the 3rd position, just about to his pit box. So Joshua Chin definitely had an advantage that those other cars did not with his straight up pace here tonight, which has been absolutely fantastic. Chad Frankenfield just now getting by Joshua Chin machine. Archie Coveney, your new leader, not by too much ahead of Ethan Stanley. Luis Victor Del Porto in between them here. Del Porto down one lap. Michael Hossack coming to pit road. Just an update, Joshua Chin still on pit road right now.
Pinheiro just crossed the start finish line, and he's going to get by him.
Yeah, Pinheiro did clear. We're going to see where Chin comes out. Troiano is going to get by Josh Chin as well. Actually, he is going to be just ahead of Kevin Burrell and Eric Troiano. So lost a couple positions on pit road was Josh Chin. But we'll see what happens when it comes to the pit strategy here. Rexing just had a brief off-track there. And actually, Rexing one lap down here, Johnny.
Looks like Rexing might have had a problem. Let me go back and...
I think he may have sped on pit road. Top 10 now as Johnny Thomas looks to find out what just happened. AJ Hobson coming down pit road. So your new top 10. Archie Coveney, Ethan Stanley, Chad Frankenfield, the top 3. Jacob Weist, will be Butch Davis, followed by William White. Here's Chris Walker coming down pit road as well. So Mark Murphy to 7th. Chad Simpson to 8th. Justin Fortner to 9th. And Adriano Pinheiro actually just got by Justin Fortner. So Adriano Pinheiro to 9th and Justin Fortner in 10th. So these leaders, wow, as Adriano Pinheiro absolutely locks up to get by the Chad Simpson machine. Pinheiro already back up into the 8th position. Joshua Chin back to 12th. The likes of Eric Troiano, Kevin Burrell there, 13th. Herman in 15th. So these leaders are moving very, very fast through the field. Ethan Stanley now to pit road.
Going back to Rexing, I didn't see anything, Robert. He just looked really, really slow on his first lap on new tires. I didn't understand it. The pit stop was clean. He didn't have to come back down pit road again. He was just extremely slow getting up to speed.
Definitely questionable there. The 2nd place Ethan Stanley, 3rd place Chad Frankenfield, and 4th place Jacob Weist, all coming to pit road here. Chris Walker had a very slow visit to pit road as well. Spent nearly a minute there. Butch Davis coming to pit road. So we're definitely in that pit cycle right now. This is going to move Adriano Pinheiro already back to the 3rd position. Mark Murphy and Chad Simpson there in the top 5. Josh Chin trying to chase down Fortner as well as Simpson and Murphy, as Simpson looking to make a move on Mark Murphy here. Terribly as these guys do get closer. We have a 4-car battle right now. Murphy, Simpson, Fortner, and Chin all under a blanket. Here's Josh Chin setting up Justin Fortner on the long straightaway here in the infield to make a move. Chin on the right side. That is Fortner on the left side. Justin Fortner gives up the spot here to the quicker Joshua Chin as Chin moves up to 6th. Pinheiro still in 3rd as here comes Archie Coveney down pit road.
Looking at this battle with Josh Chin, he's about 3.5 seconds back from Adriano Pinheiro. And Mark Murphy, I know he hasn't pitted yet, but he's had he's had a pretty hectic day today, and he's sitting 4th right now. So after pit stops, it looks like Mark's going to cycle back, at least in the top 15. So a respectable day for Mark.
You know, Mark Murphy again. I'm going to go back to the Sunday truck races. Actually, Joshua Chin, first of all, makes a move to the inside of Mark Murphy here. Going to outbreak him down into turn number 1. Take that 3rd position for Mark Murphy. Mark did this exact same thing in the truck race on Sunday. He tried a pit strategy a little bit different than everybody else. Was able to get out front and get a much better finishing position than he would have just on straight up pace. So Mark Murphy not afraid to try a different strategy here tonight and do what he can to get it out front. It's just an update. William White now your race leader. I do believe he's going to come to pit road likely this time as Adriano Pinheiro and Josh Chin their way back onto the podium. Chad Simpson coming at the top 5. Then it's Kevin Burrell, Archie Coveney. So Coveney came back out in the top 10. Is Yao Ritter having a big off-track moment here? and I believe that to be turn number 3 or 4 there. Sebastian Saavedra off the racetrack as well, may have just gotten a piece of one of the tire barriers. Doesn't look like any damage on that machine. So rejoining the racetrack now is Saavedra. Ethan Stanley just had an off-track moment. He rejoins the racetrack alongside Gavin Hibbs coming onto the oval once again.
This is typically the time of a green flag run that the cars start to step out. You start to see it, 5 to 10 laps on your tires, and they start getting a little bit loose.
As we see side by side, Ethan Stanley on the inside of Gavin Hibbs. Move Stanley back to the 13th position as William White remains out on the racetrack. I can see Adriano Pinero and Josh Chin all within our current camera shot here as there's a battle heating up. That is Zhao Ritter and AJ Hobson. Hobson outbreaks Ritter into turn number 1. They continue to do battle, but we're about to see a pass for the race lead here, probably within a lap, as William White remains on the racetrack.
Joshua Chin cut that deficit with Pinheiro. He's now only 2 seconds back. He's about 3 seconds back 2 laps ago.
What we're going to see
might be helpful.
Absolutely, and what we're going to see soon enough is the fact that Josh Chin is going to be able to pick up a bit of draft off of Adriano Pinheiro as Robert Smith rejoins just behind them here. Archie Coveney just gets by Justin Fortner, now looks to get by Chad Simpson and Mark Murphy. So Archie Coveney also coming rather quickly here on the racetrack, but we're going to keep an eye up front here. There it is, William White ahead of Adriano Pinheiro and Joshua Chin for the top 3 spots. Just an update for those at home, as you can see on your timing and scoring. William White did only hit on lap 33, so his tires are only 7 laps fresher than Adriano Pinheiro. Looked like Justin Fortner lost a couple positions. Looked like he was just letting people by out there. As William White's done a fantastic job thus far, but I don't think he's going to be out front for too much longer here. As we do see a battle now. Oh, big contact here. Mark Murphy and Archie Coveney. This may bring out a caution here.
Coveney, one of the fastest cars all race.
Coveney gets it turned back around, missing part of his nose. That will not do well for Coveney as he cuts off Gavin Hibbs to make it a pit road here. That was a big incident there that could have been much bigger, as Mark Murphy and Archie Coveney come together, lose the nose off of the Coveney machine. Mark Murphy with some damage as well. Murphy continues in the top 6, but he may have to come down pit road as well for damage. As I see Adriano Pinheiro, looks like he has some company here, as Joshua Chin closing that gap rather quickly here, Johnny. And I think within a lap, you're going to see those two on top of each other.
Less than a second and a half now. Going back to Coveney, though, I think he thought that Mark Murphy was going to let him by. Took a wide angle going down into the next turn. Mark didn't quite let off as much as Archie thought. Made contact, both spun around.
It's unfortunate for sure. Both of those guys were having outstanding runs. Mark Murphy, of course, still on the racetrack. Here we see now Adriano Pinheiro trying to snake that car a little bit on the front straightaway to fend off a run from Joshua Chin. Here comes Archie Coveney back on the racetrack. He's actually going to come out side by side with Joshua Chin. Unfortunately, a lap down for a guy that very well could have battled for a podium position tonight. Joshua Chin works his way over the bumps, heading down the long straightaway here in the infield portion of this racetrack. Adriano Pinheiro just up ahead. Josh Chin has to be careful that he doesn't make any mistakes trying to catch the Pinheiro machine, and Adriano has to make sure that he's not watching that mirror too much here, because that is when you make mistakes. Robert Smith just had a moment. He has towed his way back to pit road after having a crash on the racetrack. A little bit of a lockup by Adriano Pinheiro allows Joshua Chin to close in. Absolutely, as they're coming to a point where there's going to be a lot of draft here. These guys are re-entering the front straightaway of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You can see William White just up ahead, again snaking down that front straightaway. Adriano almost all the way into the inside wall here, trying to hold off Joshua Chin. Chin now just off the rear wing. Adriano Pinheiro machine. We are currently watching on our end from the rear wing camera of the Pinheiro machine, and you can just see that Joshua Chin car getting closer and closer and closer as William White does hold these guys off for the time being. So we cannot discredit the job that William White's done, as these guys are going to do battle for a little bit, and William White's going to have an opportunity to start pulling away from these guys.
Got to give William White a lot of credit. His lap times are, they're resembling Pinheiro and Chin. And he's got 14 lap older tires than Joshua Chin too. So William White, I think he's doing everything that he planned on doing. The pit lap was lap 33. The only guy that pit on the same strategy as him was Mark Murphy in 6th. Chad Simpson in 9th and 10th. So William White.
As William White comes to pit road, Johnny. Good timing on that pit conversation, as William White does come down pit road. 29 laps remaining here. We also just had a message from Race Control. A tally's been issued to Mark Murphy for the contact with that 19 of Archie Coveney. So Mark Murphy credited with that incident, as Josh Chin is now all over Adriano Pinheiro.
I can't get over how fast these guys go through these turns. Being a stock car guy, it's very slow and very tight, and these guys are just flying through these.
Watching these guys, it doesn't actually make sense how fast they are. They are unbelievable through this racetrack, and like you mentioned, we're stock car guys. We race in the Cup Series, we race in the Truck Series. This is not our car. Of course, we've both raced here in this car on the oval and have taken part in some IndyCar events as Adriano Pinheiro clips the grass a little bit. Josh Chin now having the opportunity as they head onto the front straightaway to potentially make a move for the lead. I think Adriano Pinheiro is just strong enough right now to fend off any sort of challenge that Josh Chin may have for that machine. 28 laps remaining. Pinheiro still ahead of Josh Chin. Let's take a look a little bit further back in the field. Looks like we might be looking for the battle here. AJ Hobson as well as Butch Davis. So Butch Davis currently in the 14th position, trying to hold off AJ Hobson. Hobson locks up the brakes a little bit. Oh, here we go. Joe Ritter around.
The Texaco car.
We have multiple cars around Joe Ritter. I do believe that to be Seb Alexander involved. Multiple race vehicles involved there. Seb Alexander immediately coming to pit road, as well as Joe Ritter. Both of those guys with damage. This does line up with what could be their final pit stop as well. So kind of works out, but if you're getting damage repaired, you're probably going to be there a little while, as Josh Chin absolutely has eliminated any sort of gap that Adriano Pinheiro has. But this final corner onto the oval here on the front straightaway, Adriano Pinheiro just absolutely sets a blistering pace and pulls away from Josh Chin every single time. And I think Josh Chin might be stronger through the infield portion of this racetrack, but when it comes to the final few turns and the beginning of this racetrack, it's all Adriano Pinheiro's. He's not really letting Josh Chin have any sort of opportunity to make a pass.
No, and Robert, this is crucial right now because I feel like Josh Chin wants to get by Pinheiro so bad so he can gap them, because Pinheiro's going to be coming down pit road here pretty quick.
Of course, as we see here, Adriano Pinheiro does have 7-lap older tires. Seb Alexander has an incident here. He is stopped on the racetrack, rejoins alongside to be, I'm not sure who that Ryan Schull, yes. So he rejoins alongside Ryan Schull. Nearly had an incident there. Looks like Pinheiro just had a lock up as we have a battle now. Ethan Stanley, Chad Frankenfield for the 10th position. Move the Stanley machine inside the top 10 as Chad Frankenfield drops now to 11. Justin Ford right behind, and there's Colin Kopka. We haven't talked too much about him tonight. You know what? That might be a good thing with how we've seen a few wrecks out here, and Colin Kopka just quietly running inside that top 13 right now with quite a few cars ahead. Here comes Mark Murphy to pit road, so Murphy tell me anymore, and here comes Kopka as well.
He was on the same strategy as William White, I think lap 33.
Yeah, so it's been a while for Mark Murphy since he last pit. Colin Kopka as well, as those guys come down pit road. We're going to see Adriano and Josh continue to battle here. Do you think we'll see Adriano down pit road soon enough? Because you don't really want to wait too long and not give yourself a chance to regain any positions that you might potentially lose. Adriano locks up once again, giving Josh Chin a chance to look to the outside of the Panero machine. Opts not to do so. We get an update from race control contact on lap 57 between the 23 of Jared and of Seb Alexander was ruled a racing accident, so no tally in that wreck. I don't know why they call it awarded, because it does not feel like an award.
It's not
whatsoever.
an award.
Yeah, it is. It's more like a slap on the hand and one handcuff around your wrist. No, absolutely not. It's not something that you want to get. Gotten a few of those in my day, and it's not fun. Chad Simpson and Justin Fortner down pit road. Fortner does a nice job of staying right there with Simpson. Seb Alexander also coming down pit road. Looks like he's coming back for more damage repair, as we just saw him on pit road not too long ago. Craig Forsyth, Johnny back up in the top 10, currently running 6th. Up 21 spots, as is Victor Navarro currently in the 13th position. Mossick about to gain a few spots on the 16th position, up 19 spots. So really nice to see some big gainers here in the field, including two of the top gainers are Canadians. So shout out to my fellow Canadians here.
Trying to pay attention here. William White, his last pit stop lap 33, then he just came back in lap 56. That's 23 laps on a cycle. I would say he can probably go 1 or 2 more laps, so that makes the pit strategy about 25 laps to go. You should be good to go to make it. Right now we're hitting that mark, about 24 laps to go. So anybody that's coming down pit road right now, I don't think that we'll see him down again.
Evan Burrell comes down pit road from the 7th position. So continuing that cycle, we're watching William White try to work his way by A.J. Hobson. Davis to work his way back into the top 10. I think William White's pit strategy tonight is going to be one to pay off with that position, as long as nothing goes wrong on wood there. Yeah, I agree with you, Johnny. I think this is the final pit stop. I don't think you're going to come back down, as Adriano Panero peels off, and he's coming down pit road from the race lead. He's coming very quick on the... Oh my gosh, he nearly nailed the pit wall. It's going to be interesting to see if he gets a penalty here for speeding, because he had to lock those brakes down at the pit entry line to come to pit road. And you know what? That could actually be the move that wins Adriano this race.
William White is around, just got nailed in the back.
Oh no, William White is stopped at the end of the long straightaway, watching to see if a caution comes out here. The racetrack is not blocked.
Going to be in great shape if there is a caution.
William White toes to pit road. Wow. I'm going to take credit for a commentator's curse on that one, because I did mention how that could be a move that gives William White a fantastic finish tonight. Adriano Panero is coming off pit road, and one thing I just noticed off of the front nose of Joshua Chin, who is our race leader again, he is coming up on lap traffic. I wonder if he opts to come down pit road this time to avoid actually having to deal with this lap traffic, and he does not. He completely ignores everything that I have to say and stays on the racetrack, which I don't blame you, Josh Chin. because you are the pro in this series, not me. So Josh Chin stays on the racetrack. Eric Troiano second, Jasper Orman third, Craig Forsyth in fourth. Their last pit stops. Forsyth last pit on 45. And speaking of pit stops, here's Troiano down road. Pinero actually came out in the top 10, Johnny. So he is actually going to be sixth, which is incredible. Jasper Orman down pit road as well. So top two, Josh Chin, Craig Forsyth. Ethan Stanley going to move to third. Gavin Hibbs fourth. Here's Chad Frankenfield in fifth. Pinero in sixth. Butch Davis seventh. Hobson eighth. Del Porto will be ninth, and Jacob East will be 10th, barring any additional pit stops here out of this group. All going to step out.
You know, going back to Pinero's pit in, it looks like he obviously didn't get a pit speeding penalty. So Joshua Chin is going to have a ton of work to do, because that was the fastest anybody has gotten into their pits that we saw Pinero. So we got to see when Josh, and there he comes. He's coming right now.
Much slower entry to pit road, Johnny, than for Josh Chin. And, you know, as soon as I saw that Pinero did not get a penalty, it instantly hit me that could be the winning move. I think Josh Chin was pacing a little bit quicker than Pinero at the time. Pinero nailed the pit entry. He got down very quick. We're watching Josh Chin come down to his pit stop. Very slow pit road here, as we'll watch Adriano Pinero see if he can work his way back up. He is behind Chin, about to lose the spot. Here comes Pinero. Adriano Pinero has moved past
seconds.
Joshua Chin. Here's Chin exiting pit road. Pinero already off into turn number one. Big lockup ahead. That is the 23 of Zhao Ritter in the 22nd spot. They are actually together. Josh Chin had a great exit there, Johnny. I think that may have negated what Pinero gained, and now Zhao Ritter kind of holding Pinero up a little bit. Obviously, no offense to Zhao Ritter, but Pinero much quicker right now, moves to the inside at the end of the long infield straightaway. Here comes Josh Chin. Zhao Ritter not giving it up.
It was a great pit exit, but also a great pit stop. Pinero 9.83, Josh Chin 8.4, about a second and a half just in the pits.
Which absolutely takes away what Pinero gained on pit road. Just an update, your race leader is Craig Forsyth ahead of Ethan Stanley, Gavin Hibbs, and Chad Frankenfield. We now have Josh Chin stuck behind Zhao Ritter.
Really hard.
This definitely makes it a little bit interesting here, as now Josh Chin gets to the inside of Zhao Ritter at the end of the front straightaway, heading into turn number one. Chin now clears Ritter. Ritter nearly locks up into the rear of Chin. Adriano Pinero has been able to gain some positions there, as Craig Forsyth holding off Ethan Stanley by quite a bit here. Gavin Hibbs trying to hold off Chad Frankenfield. And then Adriano Pinero at the end of the long straightaway in the infield here, trying to chase down the likes. I do think we're going to see final pit stops momentarily for the top four, as they are nearly 20 laps older than what we're seeing for Pinero and Chin. As I mentioned it, here comes Craig Forsyth down pit road. Ethan Stanley stays out, but here comes Gavin Hibbs. So Stanley and Frankenfield stay out. Hibbs and Forsyth come down pit road. We're just about finished with the pit cycle here. We're going to take our final pit stop. Actually, as we say that, Mark Revilis has a crash, able to get his car turned back around. But we're going to take our final pit stop here on the Elite Racing Radio Network. And when we come back, we'll take you to the finish here of the Happy Hollows 4th Annual Indy GP.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
We are back here in the Happy Hollows Indy GP here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We are still under green here with just 18 laps to go. You just heard from our friends at iRacing.com as well as TA Services, one of our great premier partners here in the Elite Racing League, as well as Blue Egg Marketing. Blue Egg is the marketing department for small businesses, small business owners. Blue Egg is your biggest fan. Worldwide Technology Raceway is a motorsport racing facility in Madison, Illinois, home to a 1.25-mile oval, a 2-mile road course, a quarter-mile drag strip, and a state-of-the-art karting facility known as the Kartplex. Check out Worldwide Technology Raceway today. Of course, our series sponsor is Warriors for Peace. Warriors for Peace is a foundation promoting peaceful change in the world to honor the beautiful life of Jack Shockley. Check out warriorsforpeace.org for more information. And tonight's race sponsor, Happy Hollow Children's Camp, is a summer camp meant to provide kids in the inner city of Indianapolis a week out in the sun and nature. Most kids coming to camp have parents working multiple jobs and have to force their kids to stay inside for their own safety. For just $60, families can send their kids to camp for a week. Everything is taken care of by Happy Hollow via generous donors. The programs are overnight, 6 days and 5 nights at the beautiful 850-acre campground in Nashville, Indiana. Happy Hollow provides transportation for campers to and from camp, 3 meals a day, a place to sleep, and endless activities. Check out Happy Hollow Children's Camp today. Make a donation if you feel inclined to do so. Be sure to help send a kid to camp. But back on the racetrack, Johnny, 17 laps to go as Chad Frankenfield comes to pit road and hands the lead back over to Adriano Pinero, Joshua Chin, and Butch Davis.
Yeah, Butch had a
as Butch comes to pit road.
Nice pitting. But I was about to say, you know, Joshua Chin, he's got 16 laps to get by Pinero.
Oh, Pinero locks up there going around Jared Rexing. That was nearly devastating as Jared Rexing. Really, yeah, they nearly got together there, but now Josh Chin stuck behind the Jared Rexing machine. Going to take a bit of work to get by because this track, although there are some long straightaway points here, Mark Rubilis just went off the racetrack. He's going to re-emerge back on. But although this racetrack has some long straightaways, these corners are not the widest, so it doesn't necessarily offer the greatest opportunities to make a pass on your competitors and gain any sort of advantages. Adriano Pinero has done a fantastic job since pitting. Of course, we mentioned he entered pit road very hot, but was able to hit his marks and come down pit road, where Josh Chin had a great exit and a great pit stop altogether, about a second and a half quicker than Pinero. Then they re-emerged onto the racetrack, and unfortunately, Joao Ritter was ahead of Joshua Chin. Josh struggled to get by and lost a bit of time there. Now he's trying to gain it back, as it is just Pinero ahead of Joshua Chin now. And they are coming up on quite a bit of lap traffic, as I'm starting to see more and more cars in the same camera shot as our race leaders. As soon as we do get to them, of course, we'll paint that picture for you so you know what's going on at the new top 5. Pinero, Chin, Troiano, as well as Burrell and Orman here in the top 5. And Joshua Chin doing a nice job, Johnny, of closing in a little bit.
Yeah, if Pinheiro can win this thing, it'll be perfect execution holding off Chin. It's like a slinky effect, and you mentioned how hard it is to pass. You know, Chin, some laps he's 2 seconds back, whether it may be a lap car that slowed him down, and he catches right back up to him, right back on his nose, and he just cannot make the pass. And that tells you a lot about Pinheiro, you know, how disciplined he is right now. And well, we got a car around. It's Ritter again, out of the last turn.
Yeah, Ritter getting back up to speed on the racetrack, just ahead of the race leaders in Pinheiro and Chin, as they're all in the same camera shot right now, as well as Jared Rexing. This has allowed Joshua Chin to really close that gap on the Adriano Pinheiro machine. I'm seeing Pinheiro just ahead, but what I'm also seeing is the likes of Jacob Weist, as well as Craig Forsyth, not too far ahead of the race leaders here. So we're about to get into some thick, heavy traffic here with just 14 laps remaining in the Happy Hollow Children's Camp Indy GP here on the Elite Racing Radio Network. Hearing a bit of metal crashing here. Not sure if somebody may have gotten a piece of the wall or maybe just hit one of those curbing a bit too hard as the drivers head off into the final chicane here. It is Josh Chin trailing Adriano Pinheiro. A handful of lap cars up ahead. Just saw some tire smoke off of, I do believe that is the Jacob Weist machine. Just up ahead. I mean, on that car. No, that is Jacob.
Yeah, I think you're listening. You're hearing the metal. I think it's Ritter. I think his rear end is half off, half on, and he's right behind the leaders.
And speaking of the leaders, Mark Murphy and Jacob Weist nearly got together, and Adriano Pinheiro had to throw a big evasive maneuver there, nearly handing the lead over to Joshua Chin. Chin also having to react to those cars. There is now Mark Murphy just ahead of the race leaders. He moves over to the right on the infield straightaway here. Mark Murphy, the 18th place car, now one lap down. Jacob Weist just ahead of Adriano Pinheiro, the next car to go one lap down in the 17th spot. So these drivers not only are putting on a show here, but they're also putting more and more cars a lap down.
Good job by Mark Murphy, though, getting out of the way, not interfering with the leaders. But it might be a little bit different with Jacob Weist and Fortner and Forsyth. Weist pitted on lap 70, so he's got fresh tires. Same with Forsyth, lap 66.
He did just have a car that was off in the middle of the grass near the leaders here, as Adriano Pinheiro again clipping the grass, re-entering the racetrack. He is getting very close to that grass, clipping it every so often. Here we go. That was close here. You guys, of course, could not see it at home, but Adriano Pinheiro got into the corner very hard. I think he was mirror driving a little bit, seeing that Joshua Chin purple car getting closer and closer. He had to lock up the brakes. Josh Chin nearly got into the rear of the Adriano Pinheiro machine, as now they're chasing down. That is actually the Justin Fortner machine, as Fortner just ahead of your race leaders right now. That is Fortner on the nose of Pinheiro. Great job by Justin Fortner getting out of the way right there. That is as good as you can ask for from a lap car. Gave them the absolute most respect and most space on the racetrack. Ooh, as Jow Ritter nearly gets into the rear of Joshua Chin. Things are eating up here, and I think Joshua Chin might be getting a little frustrated with Jow Ritter.
Yeah, if I'm Jow, I back it off a little bit. When you're battling for the lead there, you don't want a guy behind you, especially a guy that's a lap down, maybe even 2 laps down.
And, you know, not only does this race have points on the line, as well as some purse money for the race as well, as Adriano Pinheiro locks up once again. We've seen Adriano have lockups all night long, especially a little bit later into the runs. But this race also helped set the qualifying order for the Indianapolis 500 coming up in 2 weeks' time. Qualifying, of course, next week here on the Elite Racing Radio Network. And it is crucial to have one of those good spots in qualifying, because it could be the difference between a cooler track or a very hot track, which can definitely impact your lap time.
Yeah, you want to be, in my opinion, pretty early in that qualifying lineup, just so you have more chances as the
That as
track
well.
cools down.
Absolutely, that as well. Of course, the earlier you go, the more opportunity you can have to run again if you'd like. And later you go, of course, that time limited as we're coming to 10 to go. Speaking of limited time here, Adriano Pinero just barely ahead of Josh Chin right now. As Pinero, if he locks up here into turn number 1, I think Joshua Chin may be close enough to pounce, as Joshua Chin actually backed up that corner just a wee bit more than Adriano Pinero here. I think he may be trying to cool these tires down just a tad as they go by another lap car there. I think that was Jacob Wiest that time. Wiest a lap down in 16th. Only 15 cars now on the lead lap. Craig Forsyth just ahead of Pinero. I apologize that we're not really jumping to the rear of the field right now, but this battle is the closest on the racetrack, and it is for the victory here tonight between Pinero and Chin. Chin gets over the bumps just a little bit at the end of the long infield straightaway, goes for a bit of a bounce, or as Lewis Hamilton would say, some porpoising. Michael Hosick has a moment here.
Just, turned it around, looped it.
Michael Hosick doing some donuts. Ryan Schold having an off track just near the race leaders here. Stay in the grass, Ryan. As the leaders go by, Ryan Schold does reemerge. That was right at pit road entry here for Ryan Schold. 9 laps to go this time by as Adriano Pinero comes to the line. Just ahead of Pinero is a few more lap cars. I believe that does include, of course, Craig Forsyth and A.J. Hobson. As Forsyth nearly into the back of the Hobson machine. That would not have been very good as the leaders are right there behind them. Josh Chin getting very, very close now to the Adriano Pinero machine. I think Chin's ready to go.
Yeah, they're mirroring lap times right now, 1381 and a 1377. But I think these lap cars up front is affecting Pinero just a bit.
The thing with these Dallara cars is that the dirty air on your nose can definitely play a huge part in the handling of these cars. You're going to hear about it next week in qualifying and whatnot, where it's going to feel completely different in qualifying than what you will in the race. Because as soon as you get any of that draft, it makes it interesting. Is here they go, the inside of A.J. Hobson.
There he goes. He's going to
Josh
make it.
Chin to the lead. Adriano Pinero completely misses the corner, getting by the lap car of A.J. Hobson. Pinero loses the position as Josh Chin sneaks right on by on the inside. Josh Chin now actually pulling away from Pinero. 8 laps remaining as they cross the line here. Wow, what did we just see on the racetrack, Johnny?
Yeah, it looks like Pinero was pretty content getting by Forsyth. And what happened after he got by Forsyth is that other guy, I'm sorry, it was Forsyth that he ran into problems with, but it was Hobson that he passed first. Then he went into Forsyth and just got in a little bit too hard, pushed up the track, and Joshua Chin took advantage.
And that's the thing, too, when it comes to catching multiple lap cars in a row, one of them may opt to make a move to the left, the other may make a move to the right, and they're not on the same sequence. And you're going into that corner expecting to be able to get by both of them. As Archie Coveney comes down pit road, as well as Seb Alexander here. Archie was up in the top 10 once again. So great recovery actually by Coveney there to get back in the top 10. As Josh Chin has a little bit of a slide there, just passing the spot where he just got the race lead a lap ago. So Adriano Pinero still has a shot. It's getting a little bit slimmer here as they come to 7 to go. It is only 1.3 seconds, though, separating Chin and Pinero. And we know Adriano Pinero likes to dive it in deep into these corners where Josh Chin may be a little bit more conservative. So that could be an opportunity for Adriano Pinero to make another move on Josh Chin. But he has to be strategic at this point because the opportunities he has are growing slimmer and slimmer as the laps go on. 7 laps remaining. So just under about probably 10 minutes of racing remaining in this event.
Yeah, Josh Chin pulling away a little bit. 1.7 seconds out front right now. It was about a 10th quicker last lap. And there's not a lot of lap cars in his way, so a lot of clean air for Josh Chin with 6 to go. coming on.
Little update further back, a battle side by side. Gavin Hibbs and Chad Frankenfield into turn number 1. Frankenfield able to stay ahead of Gavin Hibbs as Hibbs looked to outbreak the Chad Frankenfield machine, but Frankenfield, one of the best to outbreak anybody here in this Dallara car, so Frankenfield holds on to 7th.
Some shout outs, Jesper Orman, you know, he's sitting 6th right now, +5 on the day, but Jesper's gotten in a few incidents throughout the day, rebounded and up to 6th.
Jesper Orman has done a fantastic job tonight. Another name really that we haven't talked a ton about here tonight, and again, that's usually a good thing when it comes to a race that we've seen a few incidents throughout, and we've seen guys have their wrecks and whatnot. And for Jesper Orman, he's had a clean race, kind of maintained inside the top 10, currently running in 6th, up 5 spots. Biggest mover is a guy that's really recovered. He's had a few incidents tonight. Victor Del Porto currently running in that 12th position. Taking a look, he should be able to make it to the end of the race as well. Shouldn't need to pit. So shout out to Victor as well for the drive that he's had tonight, just outside the top 10 and 12th after recovering from a few incidents. Oh, is that Josh Chin? Just went for a little bit of a drift.
I think it was.
That was indeed Josh Chin. I was watching Victor Del Porto, our last car on the lead lap. So just that puts into perspective how quick these guys are going. 12 cars on the lead lap, and Victor Del Porto not too far ahead of Joshua Chin. Well, Josh Chin just went for a little bit of a half drift there. 5 laps to go here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the road course here. Adriano Pinero trying to chase down Josh Chin. Eric Troiano just running his race there in 3rd. Not too far ahead of Kevin Burrell, so Burrell still has a shot at the 3rd position there. Ethan Stanley running in 5th, holding off Jesper Orman. Chad Frankenfield just ahead of Gavin Hibbs. Butch Davis has a little bit of a gap on Chad Simpson. Butch has done a nice job as well tonight. Colin Kolpka in 11th has a bit of a gap on Victor Del Porto, and Del Porto just ahead of our race leader, Joshua Chin, who once again has just been absolutely fantastic tonight. Again, Adriano Pinero as well has done a great job. And just an update for those of you at home that are William White fans, we got word from him that unfortunately after he towed from his incident, his iRacing simulator actually broke. So that is why the William White machine is out of the event.
We've seen a lot of action throughout the day today, and the cleanest 2 cars on the track have been Joshua Chin and Adriano Pinero, and it shows. You know, they got a 20-second lead on everybody else, and if it wasn't just for that one mistake from Pinero with the lap car, who knows what we would have seen, you know, on the closing laps.
As Mark Rabilas just went off track again. Shout out to Mark. You know, he takes part in just about every series here. Supports Elite. He's the sponsor of our replay machine here. Be sure to check out RabilasPhoto.com for all your photography needs, from Daytona 500s to Super Bowls to everything in between. Mark Rabilas is definitely going to be there with a camera, so be sure to check him out. Let him know the Elite Racing Radio Network sent you, and we're really happy to have his support. He's going to be a big supporter of the Indianapolis 500 coming up soon. We'll talk more about that next week during qualifying, but coming to 3 to go, Joshua Chin continues to blaze the field here. Victor Del Porto now 1 lap down. 11 cars remaining on the lead lap as Josh Chin is approaching the 11th place. Colin Kolpka car here should get him right now into turn number 1. Kolpka goes wide. Del Porto nearly into Kolpka. Just 10 cars on the lead lap now. Absolutely incredible as we see Adriano Pinero back in turn number 2, coming around turn 3. Mark Rabilas off the racetrack again. He's going to pit road. I think he's calling it a night here.
Can't go 2 more laps for Mark.
Mark's got too much grass inside of his cockpit now.
He can't see. Oh, we got 2 cars going around. Ritter saved it, and Archie Coveney with a little half spin, but they kept going.
side by side for the 13th spot. We have somebody off the racetrack here. That's not Rubiles. I believe that's Mark Murphy. So just the marks are off the track right now. Mark's still in 17th. Mark Murphy, that is. Chasing down Jared Rexing. We are 2 to go now as Joshua Chin gets the popsicle sticks in the air. Heading down to turn number 1. He has absolutely nothing out front of him here. Looks like a clear racetrack for a little bit here till he gets to the Chad Simpson machine. Simpson's done a nice job running in 10th. Del Porto, of course, I mentioned, up 23 spots. Currently in the 11th position. Mark Rubiles has, I think, wrecked on pit road, just towed back to his pit box. So either wrecked or he drove right past it. Is quite possible. As Josh Chin finishes up the infield portion of the racetrack here. Just a couple corners to go before the white flag. Adriano Pinero, I think, is going to be disappointed. He definitely had a strong shot at the victory tonight. Going to come up what looks like a little bit short, of course, with a lap to go. Anything can still happen. But Adriano Pinero just unfortunately losing that spot late in the going. Off of the final corner, here comes Joshua Chin to the yard of bricks. White flag is in the air. 1 lap remaining at Indianapolis in the Happy Hollow Children's Camp race here at Indy GP. White flag, of course, like I mentioned, in the air. Gavin Hibbs off the racetrack. Is this an opportunity for Butch Davis to gain a spot here? Doesn't look, no, he's not close enough. Gavin Hibbs able to stay on the racetrack in 8th.
Rexing is off the pace.
Oh, no, Jared Rexing with an incident currently gets his car gathered back up as we watch Joshua Chin. Just a few corners to go. He is going to come around towards the final chicane here. So like 2 more turns, 2 to 3. And then he will find his way to victory lane, kissing the yard of bricks here at Indianapolis. Coming around the final corner is Joshua Chin in the number 93 machine. Private label on board his car. As he does come down the front straightaway, Joshua Chin going to take the victory in the Happy Hollow Children's Camp Indy GP, the 4th annual of that race. Here comes Adriano Pinero coming across the line. 2nd place for him as Kevin Burrell is in a big slathering of cars here, coming around to take the final podium position tonight. Kevin Burrell going to finish in 3rd. Eric Troiano 4th. Ethan Stanley going to barely hold off Jesper Orman for the 5th position. Orman 6th. Frankenfield going to come home in 7th. Hibbs looks like he'll get 8th with Butch Davis and Chad Simpson the top 10. What a race here tonight, Johnny.
It was incredible, Robert. I didn't know what to expect, you know, with being a open wheel race and then a road course. Pocono was super exciting last week, but I'm not too fond of road courses. This proved me wrong, though. This was extremely exciting, and a couple big shout outs to some pretty good comebacks. You know, you saw Chad Frankenfield go around there once. You saw Victor Del Porto have some trouble. Victor just almost made the top 10, but he gained 23 spots in his run tonight, so good job to him.
Absolutely. Shout out to Victor Del Porto. 23 positions gained. Started 34th, finished 11th tonight. He had his incidents, but, you know, he came back to, like you said, just outside the top 10. It's pretty impressive. Got to give a shout out as well to a couple other big gainers. Craig Forsyth up 12 spots. Michael Hosick up 14 spots. Various others. You know, Robert Smith, he had his incidents tonight, still gained nearly double-digit positions. So shout out to him as well, and everyone that was able to finish this race. It didn't look like it was too easy, but they still came home on the racetrack, and it looks like we have one of our podium finishers standing by in the waiting room. I'm going to pull him in here, Johnny, and why don't you get us going here with our 3rd place interview with Kevin Burrell.
Hey, Kevin, got a copy?
Hey, how's it
Hey,
going?
good. Johnny Thomas here in the Elite Racing Network booth. And Kevin, awesome podium day today. Didn't seem like you had a whole lot for Josh and Adriano. And
Nah,
was there anything you could have done? Maybe pit strategy that could have played a different
yeah,
role?
there was. Yeah, it went a little wrong. I'm thinking I don't know what lap it was, but basically I ended up having to save pretty aggressively to make my final two stints. I think I could have made like one of the first two stints last a lap longer, and the saving on the primaries would have been a little better. The other thing that was really bad was that I didn't want to start on the alts because I forget if it was Josh or Adriano. They started, on primaries, and naively I was just thinking, okay, well, I don't want to get held up behind them, but over the, I don't want to use up my alts at that point. But then it's like I already knew from testing, like the alts just fall off so fast here. Like if you want to be slower, if you know someone fast is going to be ahead of you, you want to start on the alts. Doubly so if there can be a full course yellow and you can ditch them really early. I think if I'd done either or both of those things better, I would have at least been closer to Adriano. But I mean, Josh had just insane pace as well, and yeah, I think we all were kind of on different wacky strategies, and I'm just glad it worked out well enough. I felt pretty good about the result overall. So yeah, cheers.
Awesome, yeah, awesome finish. And typically with these road course races and the open wheel side of things, it's somewhat tamer. But today, four cautions tonight. The guys were up on the wheel. Did you see that during the course of the race?
I saw a lot of that aggressively. Try to be polite here, but yes, I did see some really insane moments, and I am lucky that the most I had was a 0x contact anywhere, and yeah, I mean that's definitely a big part of it, and I think even though I lost some pace with saving, I never really felt the need to blast by anyone who was being aggressive, so it just kind of worked out that way. Yeah, I mean it was not bad at all.
Yeah, you had 10th of Pocono, third here at Indianapolis. You got the big one here in a couple weeks. What can you
Yeah,
do?
I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to obviously some of the ovals, obviously Indy, and I think I don't get a race against Adriano a whole lot on the road side of things too, because he usually doesn't run open stuff like that. So it's really good to try and pull myself to the test against those guys. They're just really fast. That really shows you what's possible.
Awesome, Kevin. You got anybody to thank?
Yeah, Indy Alliance Racing, of course. They're it's a great group of guys to hang out with and work on indie strat stuff with. Adam Crane, as always, just for his support since I started doing IndyCar from the very beginning. And yeah, the guys who watch my Twitch too, everyone. It's good times. Yeah, cheers.
Awesome. Well, that's Kevin Burrell. And Kevin, we look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks for the big one in the 500.
Yeah, of course. Thanks. Have a good
Kevin Burrell, the third place finisher. Johnny, like you mentioned, great run by him tonight. And it doesn't look like we have Adriano Pinero tonight, but we do have Joshua Chin, our winner here tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and pull him up into the booth now. Josh Chin, it's Robert and Johnny up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Gosh, you had one heck of a race tonight. It almost looked like Adriano had it won towards the end there, but a little bit of a tussle with some lap cars led to a big opportunity for you to pounce. And what were you thinking when it came down to that moment to make that move on Adriano there at the end?
I just wanted to get through. I knew that he was struggling on the tires. We were on different strategies at the end, and I knew that I had the upper hand. I was just kind of waiting him out to burn the tires off. And over the last probably 3-4 laps before that, you could tell he was really struggling. Anytime I put pressure on him in the turn one, he'd lock up. So I knew the opportunity would arise pretty quickly. I didn't anticipate it being like that. So having that and be able to run away with it after that was really nice. I thought it was going to be more of a battle. But yeah, it was just a fight all day after that first caution. It kind of put me back on strategy, and then had another caution where I could have pit, and I didn't the lap before, and I didn't get the spot from it. So that made it difficult, and it was just kind of fighting back from that strategy deficit all day.
And you mentioned pit strategy, and I saw that you kind of came to a realization. I don't know if you noticed late in the race or at the end of the race, but you mentioned that you didn't take tires on the first stop. Did the car feel any different than anybody else out there? Like, were you struggling a little bit more where some of these other guys might have been pulling away from you a bit?
Oh, it felt terrible. I was really confused because I was like, well, the car is firing off great on restarts, and then after 3-4 laps, it's gone to a handbasket, and I don't know what's going on. And thankfully, I had Brophy hop in as a spotter for me midway through, and he's like, "Yeah, I didn't take tires the first stop." I went, that explains a lot of my issues. So getting onto the reds for the third stop, I think ended up working out well. I was originally going to go to the reds on the second stop, so I didn't do that, and I think it actually played out pretty well, being able to take the reds on that short stop for the third stint and run out on the primary blacks for the last stint and have that pace advantage at the end of the race as opposed to kind of firing off quick with the reds again.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, sometimes the mistakes actually lead to something good for you, and sounds like it gave you the opportunity to maybe have a bit of an advantage in the mid portion of the race, heading towards the end there. But looking ahead here, obviously, this is not the end of our time here at Indianapolis. We're going to have a few weeks here heading into the Indianapolis 500. What's your outlook into that race?
Hope for a strong qualifying, good track position. It seems like it's gotten harder and harder to pass as the years have gone on at Indy, and with this car with the aero screen. So hopefully be able to get through a solid qualifying. And I know I don't have the best draw with missing the first race, so that doesn't help me going into the race. But hopefully still get some luck out of it and get a good qualifying spot and have a solid race from there. It's a long way. Even today's race it didn't feel like it was that long at 85 laps, but once we got about probably 50 laps in, it's like, wow, this is a lot longer than you think it is.
Yeah, it definitely is a lot longer than you would think. But like you mentioned, hopefully you can pull a decent number for qualifying, and I think your win tonight will definitely help a little bit. Of course, like you mentioned, missing race number 1 puts you back a little bit, but hopefully this moves you up at least to the mid portion of the guys on points. But Josh, congratulations on the victory. And before we do let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to? Anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, big thanks to everyone at Private Label, Team Hype, Team Talent, everyone that still runs the IndyCar with us. We don't get to run it very often right now, but when we do, we get to enjoy it. And races like this are fun. Thanks to Chad and everyone putting on the league, you guys for putting on the broadcast with these circumstances, and again, big thanks to Private Label for supporting us through the season.
Congratulations once again. We'll see you in just a short while for qualifying at Indianapolis. Joshua Chin, your winner here tonight. Congratulations once again.
Thank you, guys.
Well, Johnny, that was Josh Chin, of course, the winner here tonight. Unfortunately, we don't get to talk to Adriano Pinero, but I'm sure mixed emotions about tonight's race coming from Adriano.
Yeah, I'd imagine that he's probably thinking he might have let one get away. I know that the differential in first and second is pretty substantial, around 6 seconds. But he was doing a great job of holding off Josh, and I think if that lap car wasn't in the way, we might have a different story. Either way, it was a great show and a great finish for Adriano.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Congratulations to all of our finishers here tonight, but of course, special congratulations to our podium finishers. And before we do send the broadcast off here tonight, is there any final thoughts from you and what we saw here this evening?
Like I said, I'm surprised at how good the racing was for a road course, but I'm looking forward to the oval in a couple weeks. A lot of these guys, they just register for that race. They'll run the whole season just for Indianapolis, just for the big one, the 500. And I'm really looking forward to getting down here again and seeing what these guys can do.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. Obviously, I really got to see firsthand what this racetrack had to offer Sunday night in a truck, a little bit different than an Indy car, or than an open wheel car. Sorry, can't say that word. But definitely looking forward to seeing what they do out on the oval here next week with qualifying, and then in 2 weeks' time with the Indianapolis 500. But it was a great night tonight. We saw some different guys up towards the front. We saw guys like Craig Forsyth lead some laps and come home with a pretty half-decent finish here. We saw Chad Frankenfield with great recovery tonight. Victor Del Porto as well. Kurt Rexing, we saw him up and down. William White led laps before disaster struck him. Just really looking forward to the rest of the season. This was my first race of the season here tonight, and can't wait to see what we have to offer going forward. But I think that'll just about do it for us here tonight. Once again, I have to thank Happy Hollow Children's Camp for coming on board. Be sure to check them out. Give them some support if you can. Blue Egg Marketing, Worldwide Technology, Raceway, TA Services, as well as Warriors for Peace, Rebilus Photography, Chad Frankfield, John Cutlip, you, Johnny, of course, and Dave Huckleberry for everything he does behind the scenes. It was one heck of a race here tonight, and I can't wait to see what we have to offer next week. But for all of us here at the Elite Racing Radio Network, my name is Robert Hill Jr., that's been Johnny Thomas, and this has been the 4th Annual Happy Hollow Children's Camp Indy GP. Good night, everybody.